Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. In this video, I am going to discuss the current energies that are going on, the Ascension Symptoms with that, for the month of February 2021. We're a couple weeks in now. I think it's the 12th or 10th or something like that. But what's going on right now? So I'll also give you an update with what is the crazy happenings that is going on behind the scenes with soul groups, the Oversouls, everything, all that kind of stuff, the light, the dark that's playing out, which is going to affect the energies of this year. So I'll also give you an update on what all you can expect to feel for the rest of this year of 2021. So there is so much that I have an entire page of notes that I want to discuss. So in the description box below, I have put in timestamps. So you can just flip around to whatever you feel inspired to listen to. So here we go. Okay, so there is so much. I have so many channelings. I've been trying to get into videos. I just haven't been able to because of the energies. So I thought, because of the quantity of information that there is, the best thing for me to do is just throw it at you in this format. And then when I have an opportunity, when I'm feeling up to it, I'll put out the actual channelings for you so you can hear it direct from Dell and the divine, and you can hear it from them. So the Ascension Symptoms of the past 2 weeks. So I would say the very end of January to now, the Wayshowers will be feeling this significantly stronger than everyone else at this point. So the Wayshowers will have been feeling depression, sadness, loss, mourning, for like extreme mourning, feeling like everything you've ever known has been taken away from you, confusion. Oh my goodness, so much confusion, exhaustion, unable to do anything. There was also dizziness. There's a lot of people that have, and myself included, that have been really getting to the point of almost falling over. I've knocked into a few things and just out of the blue, just getting dizzy. So with all of that comes the anxiety as well. Just, again, it's like a flip is switched, and all of a sudden you feel all of these different things going on with you, and you know none of it's yours. So when I'm talking about all of these things, or whenever I post about whatever it is that I'm feeling for Ascension Symptoms, it's always with absolutely no judgment. There is just stating what we're feeling. Like, my fingernails are growing. I'm not judging the fact that my fingernails are growing. I'm just stating the fact that my fingernails are growing. So whenever you feel something, don't judge it. Just acknowledge that it's there. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, sure. I'm feeling confused, or I'm feeling exhausted. That's okay. That's good. That's fine. That's what's going on. So it's never with judgment. If you ever feel like you are beating yourself up about it, or you think that you might be complaining, just try to look at it from a different point of view and see if you can describe it from a place of joy that you're feeling these things. And then that will help you release any judgment that you would have about it. It would help you to release any feelings of wanting attention from it as well, because we're always taught to want people to feel sorry for us. But if you have absolutely zero intention and you're just stating it so that someone else can know that that is a normal experience right now, then you're helping others. So it's like, hey, I feel fantastic today. Anyone else feel fantastic today? Right up there with, hey, I feel confused today. Anybody else feel confused today? See, no judgment, just completely equal. So with all of that, that has been going on, so depression, sadness, mourning, feeling like everything you've ever been taught, anything you've ever known, everyone you've ever loved, just imagine if everything was taken from you. That's what it felt like for the last couple of weeks. Just this, everything has just like been ripped away, and the mourning, this extreme sadness, like falling to your knees, crying. And oh, with all of that as well, there has been this intense, multi-dimensional aspect to the way of thinking. And what I personally experienced was I had, you can kind of think of it as, imagine every movie you have ever watched in your entire life running through your mind at the exact same time. I know. That's basically what has been occurring as well, especially for the Wayshowers, is this, because of the confusion and everything, all of these thoughts that I and other Wayshowers, we've trained our minds to be quiet. It takes practice, but we've trained our minds to be very quiet. So to have all of these thoughts of consciousness and evolution of thoughts and having images of other worlds and experiences, and it was just everything playing out at once in the head. It felt, you feel like you're losing your mind. It was intense. So the reason why I'm saying all of this as well is that there is a new development that I've felt all those things before, but they were really intense the last couple of weeks. But there was something that came from all of this. The ear ringing that we've all experienced when you hear the different frequencies. Normally I hear it and I smile and I enjoy it, and it's like, oh yay, I'm hearing the frequencies. This time, because I was calling out for assistance, I'm like, you guys, I need help here, like light team, help me. I need some assistance. This time when I heard the ear ringing, it actually was coming in from my left ear. Within 1 to 2 seconds of it starting, like it would just start like that, just super loud, really intense. And within 1 to 2 seconds, all of a sudden, this calmness, like it just shushed everything. It was incredible. I have never had the ear ringing or any other ascension symptom like that affect me physically in that way. It's always been psychological, maybe dizziness for physical, but it's always been your emotions and everything going on. But the ear ringing that actually affected my body to calm me down, because my heart was racing, everything was going just crazy, and it was wonderful. So that is a new development, is the ear ringing can now affect your stress level, your anxiety level, everything that your body's going through. It now can calm it down. Because what all of this is, all of Ascension Symptoms, all of these things that are going on, our bodies are changing. And I like to think of it as music, that we are in space, in this new tone, this new note, but our bodies are out of tune with where we are. So it those of you who, because I'm musical, so those of you who know the difference between something being in tune and out of tune, our entire bodies are out of tune, and it sounds awful and it hurts, quite frankly. So we are now getting to a point where the energies can help assist us in putting our bodies in tune to what's going on. So I just thought that was amazing that is now occurring. So that's wonderful. It's something I never even thought of would be happening, that the ear ringing, or maybe other ascension symptoms too, possibly later on, could actually help bring peace and ease in that dramatic of a way to affect the physical body. It was just awesome. It was awesome. So that's what's going on with the energies right now, the Ascension Symptom energies. So with all of that going on, there's a reason why as well, all of those, the sadness, the mourning, the depression, there's a reason for all of that. So now I'm going to try to segue into that a little bit. So the couple days prior to all of these energies starting, so very late January, now I'm speaking personally, and then what happened to me, and then I will give you what I was told by when I was doing channeling. So what I experienced personally were a couple of incredibly intense nightmares, but they're not nightmares. They're incredibly intense things that occurred while my physical body was sleeping, but fully conscious, completely lucid of what was going on, and they were really intense. And they don't normally have me know what's going on when things are like that. They usually, because it's very difficult for our physical minds to be able to deal with everything. So it's kind of like they don't wipe your mind. They just help you suppress it, forget it a little bit. So it was really intense. You know, the kind of nightmares you would have had when you were a little child that just made you just freeze. But now when you know what's going on, you don't freeze anymore. You can talk yourself down. You can calm yourself down. You bring in your light team. Everything's A-okay. So that happened for a couple nights. Then, so I wasn't sleeping really good. So on the third night, I went into my room and went into the doorway to go, through the doorway to go into my room. And there was this big being in the room, in the doorway there, pointed towards the bed. It was facing the bed. I couldn't see a clear face or clear form. It was more like a kind of like a large solid block that I could tell was a being of some sorts, but without humanoid shape. Just it was more like a big solid brick, way taller than me, way bigger than me, just large, massive boulder type thing facing towards the bed when I was in there. So I was extremely unnerved by that, obviously. So I asked it to go, as I always do whenever I have anything that comes around that is not of love and light. You just ask it to leave. I've been doing this since I was a little girl, long before grade school. And they always go. Every single one always goes without any problems. They just, there you go. It'd be nice if they made that sound, but but this thing, I asked it to go because it was not pleasant, and it did not go. And I'm like, okay, I know that there's no such thing as it being stronger than me, because of being light, it cannot be stronger than light. So I'm like, what is this? So I called in my spirit guides to help me. I have this relationship that I highly recommend to any of you who have connections with a spirit guide or someone on the other side. So I don't have to go into meditation. I can actually communicate with them just as if I was communicating with you now. I could have a little side conversation with them without going into meditation. But what I have done is there's 3 of them, and I can see their faces, generally, their bodies and their faces. And what I have developed with them is to be able to ask them yes or no questions. So if I ask them a question, and it's for my highest good to know the answer. If it's yes, they go yes. And if it's something they think it's okay for them to say no to me, then they go like this. So it's awesome. I highly recommend you develop that kind of relationship with your guides as well, because you can get instant answers when you're needing them wherever you are. Even if you're driving, it's like, should I turn left here? You can ask them and you'll see this, and they'll guide you for your highest good, to your safety, whatever it is. So I asked them, is this being that's in here of light? Because it wasn't going. And so I'm like, is this being here of light? And they said no. So I'm like, okay, I didn't think so. This thing that's in my room it's not loving me. So obviously it's of the dark. Is this being of the dark? I asked them, expecting them to go like this. They went like this. And I'm like, okay, so I asked them, is this being of the light? Okay. Is this being of the dark? I'm like, well, what else is there? So then I asked them, is this being wanting to cause me harm? And again, they went. So I thought, okay, so this being is not of the light, is not of the dark. It does not want to cause me harm, but it's incredibly uncomfortable. I know it doesn't love me. I could feel that there was no love, but at the same time, I didn't feel hatred from it, because when you have come into contact with beings of dark, you can feel the hatred. Like you can just feel it. So I was like, okay, so it's not of the light, it's not of the dark, it has no intention of causing me harm. Like, okay, because that's always our main concern, is if something wants to cause us harm. So I'm like, okay, so it's not going to cause me harm. So then I asked my guides, is it for my highest good to have it remain in the room? Or words to that effect, I can't quite remember. And they went like this. So I thought, okay, it's not of love, it's not of the dark, it is not going to hurt me, and it's for my highest good for it to be here. So I thought, okay, I guess I'll leave it. So it's not like I could get rid of it anyway, which was still really interesting. So what it turned out to be after I went to sleep, and then the next day, obviously it was still there, and it actually remained for 2 weeks. Last night was the first night where it was not there. So I did a channeling to find out what on earth that thing is, and why would it not go? Why is it there? So what the information that I got from that is that it was a neutral being. There are neutrals. And I kind of had heard this before, but I never really paid attention to it because I was always concerned of light and of dark. I never really cared about neutrals, and I didn't really understand what their purpose would be, other than they just chose not to polarize either way. So yeah, the channeling it was a neutral, and there's not many of them around, and they don't go into physical at all. They're not physical beings. These are non-physicals that their purpose is to ensure that the rules are adhered to. So what was going on? So those first couple nights where I was having those really intense dreams, this is the next part of all of this, because it's all kind of leading into what's been going on. The dark has been doing some, they haven't broken rules, but they are in the process of breaking rules. So the thing with the dark, they still adhere to the rules, but they find every single loophole possible, and they push that to the extreme edge. The light doesn't do that, right? Like the light, there are rules, and that's that. You don't break the rules, those are the rules. But the dark, they find every loophole possible, and they push it. And those of the light were like, well, that's sneaky. That's not fair. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. These are the rules. But that's because we kind of play by, even though we're still playing by the same rules, they're slightly different. They're more ethical rules. So what the neutrals do is the dark deliberately pushed the limits of these loopholes that they've been working with to a point that is now deliberately breaking the rules and causing changes in timeline experiences. So that's not allowed. So apparently, like, this is all new. I didn't realize any of this was going on before. So neutrals were brought in to stop that, because whatever it is about the neutral, they can block the dark or the light if necessary, but the light doesn't ever do that. So they block the dark from doing whatever it is that they are trying to do to break the rule. They'll allow the loopholes, because the loophole is still part of the rules. But once they even go past that and break the loophole, then they stop it. So there are now neutrals that are being brought in. I was going to say summoned, but they're not being, they're bringing themselves in, because that's kind of their purpose, is to ensure that the rules are adhered to. And so they kind of go where needed, if needed. So that's also why there's not many of them. So there was a neutral in my room to block what was being done by the dark. So yes, the dark has been attacking, and it's crazy. I don't talk about that stuff because I don't want to give it more attention than it needs. And the only reason why I'm discussing this now is that I think it's important for people to know that there is such a thing as a neutral guardian, a neutral being. It's not loving, but it's also not hating. It's not there to cause you harm. It's just there to do its job. So if you come across something like that, let me know. Let me know. That, because I don't hear of anyone ever talking about that stuff. So thought that was incredible that there is a neutral that is coming in that is going to the Wayshowers at this point in time, because the Wayshowers are the ones that are on the front lines getting the Wayshowers experience everything first. It's the agreement that they consciously made to deliberately upgrade their DNA, to deliberately feel everything first, to deliberately make contact with everything first. And in so doing, they experience everything first in the fullest, strongest way possible in order to light ground it, to transmute it, and make it more of a smooth experience for the rest of the collective once it kind of rides its way through the collective. So yeah, other Wayshowers, they're experiencing these neutrals coming in after getting attacked by the dark things. So, and Wayshowers who know what they're doing, you don't get attacked. Like, it's just so beyond the norm. I mean, the dark has to go to such an extreme place in order to be able to attack anymore that it's kind of nice to get to that point, but it still can happen. But we know what's going on, so we can. But with the neutrals, oh my goodness, so exciting, so exciting. So if you have come in contact with a neutral, let me know, because it's the most bizarre sensation to be in the presence of something that does not love you, but also does not hate you. And I have never experienced that before. It's always such love where tears coming down my face, or it's kind of thing. They kind of growl at you. So I'm just looking at my notes real fast. Okay, so what the dark was doing with attacking the Wayshowers, which is why the neutrals came in, is the dark has deliberately caused changes to occur within some of the Oversoul groups that are around. What that means is, because the light would never do anything to deliberately cause harm, to deliberately separate things. The light would not do that. But what the dark has now done over the last couple weeks, it's started the end of January 20th, kind of, until beginning of February when the neutrals were brought in. So kind of back in there. So this is, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. Hundreds of thousands of group oversouls, the oversouls and the groups thereof, not the oversouls themselves, but the souls that are from these groups. So, but hundreds of thousands of them have been split off from the collective. So that is what that extreme sense of loss was, what that extreme mourning and sadness and wailing, and also that confusion, that multidimensionalness, because all of a sudden hundreds of thousands of souls that were in the mass consciousness got taken out. And for those of you who are super sensitive to the mass consciousness, I tell you that it was intense. And why am I wanting to? Okay, it was so. So that happened in the in the energetic, the etheric. I'm just going to take a sip of tea. Hold on a second. Okay, so, oh, geez, I'm starting to tremble. Okay, so what that means is, so when the dark did that, so they broke the rules, and then the neutrals came in and stopped that. But it has been done. Now, so we have, that's all happened in the etheric. So now that's going to start playing out in the physical over the next while. So obviously we've been experiencing the splitting of the worlds going on, and it's going to continue, obviously, but we've already been experiencing souls moving, transitioning, disappearing, whatever. But this was a large number very quickly. So what does that mean in our physical world? That means there'll be, some of them are going to be what we perceive as death of the physical body. So some of them are going to, some sort of larger events. What those would be, I don't know, like weather caused things. I don't know. But so we're going to have those where large groups will be leaving their physical bodies that way. And then we have others where they're just instantly disappearing from people's lives. Like they just pick up and move and just disappear and just want nothing to do with you about anymore. Like they have completely cut themselves out of the collective consciousness and have they're no longer part of what's going on here, but they might still be in physical. I'm not really quite sure how that part works. And then this is another part of it, is there are souls that have been, people consider them ghosts, but they're not trapped here. They're here because they think, some of them think that they're trapped here, but even with all the technology that there is among the dark to be able to do certain things, because there's a lot of technology. We all know that there's a lot of technology going on. The souls, with everything that can trap them, they still have the free will to not be trapped. But as you all know, when you're in a bad state of mind, it's hard to get yourself out of that bad state of mind, right? So you can see why they're unable to choose to get themselves out of being trapped when their souls being trapped by technology of dark. So again, they're not really trapped, but they just can't see any way out of it. Anyways, that's a whole different thing. So the reason why I bring that up, because that's part of these hundreds of thousands that have been split off, is that there is going to be, over the next weeks and months, some trickery afoot. So I so strongly urge you not to pay attention to the news, to social media, to people you talk to about that kind of stuff. So with all of these souls splitting off and people becoming way more sensitive and waking up by tens of thousands daily, like, I mean, the hundreds, like the consciousness is waking up. A little side note. So when the dark did the whole lockdown situation, to try to stop people from waking up, right? Like it was all a distraction. Like don't let them wake up. Don't let them wake up. But as we all know with law of attraction, that when you push against something saying, I don't want that, I don't want that, it comes back even more. So everything that the dark has done going, no, don't let them wake up. Don't let them wake up. Well, it's now come back. So it's going to be a crazy year. So with that is that these people are waking up, and people are becoming really sensitive to energies that they don't know what they're sensitive to. They're just feeling weird, feel like they're losing their mind. And with all these hundreds of thousands of souls, these soul groups, people are going to start seeing them and feeling them when they're around. And so the dark, with their trickery, is going to start distracting people again. And there's certain, in particular, there's one beam that is known to cause things to look a certain way. I don't want to go into it because none of that stuff is important. It's all distractions. But I mean, they're going to take what is naturally going on, which they caused. The dark caused all of these hundreds of thousands of soul group oversouls to split off from the mass collective. And so people are going to be feeling these things and seeing these things that are now splitting off, and we're kind of walking side by side, but separate now. They're going to be taking advantage of that in whatever way that their technology is going to allow it. So, and I choose not to tap into what they do. I don't care what they do, because I can feel what is love and what's not love. So I have no desire to tap into what it is they are doing. So all I can say is if you start seeing things going on, tap into your heart and ask yourself if this is a soul that just needs some love and some comfort and some guidance to be escorted by maybe an archangel or your guides or whomever you feel would be a loving presence to assist them to reconnect to the energies of love. And just if it's not that, and you know that it's trickery that is being experienced, then you can just say, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I've experienced this. No, thank you. And just send it on its way. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I'm just looking at my notes to see if there was anything else that, okay. So basically the energies for the year of 2021. So the year of 2020 was that of sleeping, peace, hibernation. Hibernation is a good word. Hibernation, frustration, but it's all been contained. It's been contained and put pressure on it and pressure on it and pressure on it. That was 2020. So 2021, after you've had all this pressure and frustration and people hibernating, people are waking up from their hibernation with all this pressure. And you can even feel, just from the way I'm describing it, what is going to be occurring this year. So it's a it's a good year for you to learn, if you haven't already, to learn to practice non-judgment, unconditional love, because people are going to be freaking out because they're experiencing these energies such as the ones that I've just experienced the last couple of weeks, but I at least know what's going on because I have light teams that I can talk to. Imagine these hundreds of millions and billions of people experiencing this stuff and not knowing what's going on. And that, I just send them love because, so you can understand whatever actions they take, whatever they do, they're just trying to express whatever it is that they've got going on that they don't know how to express it. So send them love, send them compassion, because they're having a tough time, tougher than you've even experienced. Because if you're watching this, you're awake. You have light teams that you can talk to, or you meditate, or you do something, and you have more knowledge than everyone else. So it's a year of keeping yourself calm. It's a year of practicing unconditional love. It's a year of experiencing imagine yourself as a surfer, and every single day you have no clue what the waves are going to be like, but you start your day off excited because you don't know what kind of waves they're going to be, and your entire goal is to always stay at the top of that wave. Sometimes the waves are just going to be low little waves. Other times they are going to be the massive waves you have ever experienced, and you see everyone else around you getting pulled into the wave and tossing and turning. Oh, that's a great analogy, guys. Like tossing and turning in these waves and fighting to try to go to the surface. All you can do is just ride the wave with as much grace and ease as you possibly can, giving encouragement to those who have been swept under the wave. Send them love, send them encouragement. It's, they just want to keep saying, buckle up. It's going to be intense. But you have a choice as if you want to see that as a negative, so that means you're judging it, or you just see it as a fact. Like, yeah, there's blue sky today. Other days there's a cloud. No judgment. No judgment. You just see things. You just see them as they are. No judgment. And that's all I can really stress to you is no judgment. No judgment at all on anything. Compassion, and that's another thing. Compassion and empathy are two different things. So you want to present compassion, but you don't want to feel empathy with someone, because that means you are pulling your energy down to their energy. Whereas compassion, you are still staying in your high vibration and sending them love and encouragement so they can lift themselves up. But if you feel empathy, you are lowering yourself, and then both of you are on the floor going, what's going on? So one other thing I want to discuss briefly is the removal of labels. Part of this year will be expanding your definitions. If you don't expand your definition of whatever it is, then you're going to have a more difficult time with riding the waves. Definitions and labels of those things, they weigh you down. They're walls. They're limitations. They limit you. Labels limit you. Labels limit. Limit labels. Labels limit. So if you ever say, I am, and it's something that, whatever you fill in the blank with, I am blank, fill in the blank, whatever that is, if it has any rules and regulations to it that you must follow and abide by, I recommend you question why you're doing that. Because the I am presence, I am, love is infiniteness, is unconditional love. There are no limits on that stuff. There are no walls. So if you have anything in your ego that you identify as, I am a fill in the blank, and you can honestly say that that fill in the blank thing has these rules that you go by saying, well, I do these things, but I don't do these things. Question yourself why you are choosing to limit that. And we all go through this as you awaken, as you become enlightened. We all do this. It's part of awakening. It's part of enlightenment. We put labels and walls up, and we cut things out of our lives. It's part of the enlightenment process. It's just what you do. It's because in order to become enlightened, in order to wake up, you have to, it's kind of like when you are allergic to something, but you don't know what it is. So you have to take out almost everything from your diet, and then you slowly start putting things back in to see what it is that you're actually allergic to. Well, that's what enlightenment is. That is what awakening is removing everything. But that's where people get stuck. People forget to put things back in. And they just stay at that detox level, which everyone needs. Like I said, everyone needs that. Everyone needs to take everything out of the diet and to see what it is, to feel better. But you're not supposed to stay that way forever. So I don't want to go into too much detail on that. This is more of something that is up to you to look within yourself to explore that concept of, what have I eliminated from my life because I thought, I believed, I think that it's the right thing to do. So if you have that in your consciousness, in your belief system, I don't do this because I believe that it is wrong. I'm not saying that you're wrong with that. I'm just saying, question why. Make sure you're doing what makes your heart sing. If you are choosing to eliminate something from your life, but you kind of sort of wish that you could have it, well, think about that. Think about why you have chosen to cut that thing out of your life. What spiritual practice told you that that's the way to God, is by limitation? And if God is ultimate, unconditional, infinite, non-judgmental, I'm not saying to add those things back in. Just ask yourself why that you've cut all that stuff out. And the reason why I bring this all up is because you're going to need this year to be able to embrace as many fun things as you can. So if you have an entire lifestyle based upon restriction because you think it's the spiritual way of living your life, restriction is just like any other diet, right? If you say, no, I'm not going to eat any of that stuff ever again, even though it made me happy, that's not sustainable. You can't live the rest of your life in deprivation. It's not going to work. You have to figure out what works for you, what doesn't, and it's going to change. It's going to be constantly changing. Like I said, everything's a wave. It's just, so what works for you now is not going to work for you later. What does not work for you now is like, it's always just live from your heart for joy. Yeah, because the energies this year, you need as much joy as you can find. So if you are deliberately depriving yourself of things that you enjoy, think about that. Think about why that makes you a better person to be doing something that you think you should be doing, but in fact, it makes you a little sad. I had to go through all of that. We all did. Everyone does. It's part of the process. First, you cut everything out. Sometimes you live with everything cut out for months, years. Some people live for the rest of their lives with everything cut out. But the more things you have cut out, you don't have to partake in everything. But having the option, taking down the walls, taking down the restrictions, and allowing yourself the option, if you wanted to, you're not necessarily going to, but if you wanted to, it's a lot freer. And that's what you need for this year, is that freedom, that joy, no limitations, unconditional love, peace, ease. Restrictions that you place upon yourself are not peaceful. They're not full of ease. They're not full of grace. So do your best to remove your restrictions, your self-imposed restrictions of what you think you're supposed to be doing, and just live through grace, live through joy, live through love of your heart. It will guide you. The golden rule, just straight up the golden rule. That's all. Okay, I'm going to be getting channelings out to you when I can, but I wanted to get all that information out. I'm just checking to make sure. Yeah, so the emotions that are going to be coming out is that of grief. Over the next little while, you're going to be feeling grief and sadness and exhaustion and depression, anxiety, this multidimensional concepts of everything that you could have ever thought kind of running through your head all at once. And then the glory that I have never experienced before, but that ear ringing that then calmed my entire nervous system just like that. That was awesome. Oh, that was awesome. Oh, that was great. So let's see, there was that. You might, if you're a Wayshower, you might be experiencing the neutral guardians. I quite honestly say I hope I never experience it again because it's very uncomfortable. But it kept me safe. Then let's see how the dark broke the rules, and which brought in the neutral guardians. And let's see, yeah, those Oversoul groups, the hundreds of thousands of Oversoul groups leaving. So yeah, expect a lot of, don't watch the news, so then you won't know about it. If you don't watch the news, then it's not going to affect you. So chances are I will have no clue what's going on if there's big groups of people leaving their physical bodies over the next months. But something's going on. Those of you who are sensitive, you'll be seeing, feeling ghosts, for lack of a better term. They're just not love and light beings. They're just souls that have split off from our collective. So if you come across those, just bring in whomever you are connected to, archangels, and quite frankly, angelics are the best ones to call in. That's kind of their job, is to deal with that kind of stuff. So really anyone that you like from the angelic realm, that'd be the best to call in if you come across I don't like the term ghosts because of the connotation that's with them, but they're energy beings that are not in physical anymore, that are here around us, but they're not love and light ones. They're just, so anyways, expect a lot of trickery going on out there. I've already started to experience a little bit of that myself, but I've cleaned that up, so I don't expect to experience that anymore. And I'm just making sure. Yeah, so this year is going to be a year of heart-thumping energies going crazy. So, well, people around you going a little bonkers. So be cool with it. It wouldn't surprise me if there's lots of not riots per se, but people just acting out for no reason. They just don't know how else to behave because they're just feeling something and they just got to get it out and they don't know what's going on. So, alrighty. All right. I love you all so much. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I love you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And I have so many videos to get out. So I will be doing that as soon as I can. All right. I love you.